Good afternoon, everyone. This is Caitlin from TechServe Alliance, and welcome to today's webinar, Double Qualified Candidates. There will be a question and answer session after the presentation, so feel free to write in any questions you want answered in the question box on the right side of your screen. We are also recording today's presentation, which will be available to TechServe members on the TechServe Alliance website and will be sent out in follow-up emails. With that, I'd like to introduce our speaker for today, Barb Bruno.
Well, thanks so much, Caitlin, and I want to welcome you all to this call, and I have to commend all of you for, basically participating in calls during the summer. I know it's never easy when it's the summer months and everybody is taking vacation and taking time off, so we're thrilled that we've got such a large attendance today. But we're going to talk about something really important, and that's how do you double qualify candidates? Because what I'm hearing a lot from hiring authorities is they don't feel we're screening. They feel that we're wasting their time. And so I think that, some of the things we're going to share today will show you how you're not put in that bucket of people that are, basically feeling that we waste their time. When hiring authorities ask you questions about your candidates, do you always know the answers? Because the answer to that question should be yes, if you double qualify your candidates. And what this is going to help you do is book more interviews, make better matches, and close more deals. Because when you can't answer questions, basically what happens is you lose credibility and it hurts your ability to develop rapport and trust with your clients. Now, often, depending on your office, some of you have recruiters present candidates to your clients. Some of you that are account executives are presenting, candidates on your own. But no matter who is presenting the candidates, when your clients are asking questions, you should be able to answer every question that they ask you. And of course, if you don't know the answer, you never want to fudge it. You always want to say, well, I'm so sorry, I don't know the answer to that, but let me get back to you. Because another thing that we're accused of is also making things up and not really only dealing in facts, which is another important element of what you and I do. The interview basically is a foundation for all of your actions on behalf of a candidate. And it hurts your ability to develop rapport and trust with clients, but it also hurts your ability to develop rapport and trust with candidates when you have to go back and re-ask them things that they may have mentioned in the interview. So when you double qualify, you're going to make better matches and fill more of your contracts and orders. And there's something else that I want all of you to really think about. I'm in front of candidates a lot. I go to a lot of technology conferences. In fact, I'm speaking in Seattle at an engineering conference, which I find interesting. I'm going there next week. And so I'm in front of these end users and I'm in front of your potential candidates all the time. And candidates have really shared one of their greatest concerns with me over the last 6 months more than ever before. They don't feel we represent them at all. They feel that all we do is represent the clients, that we view them as a dollar sign, and that all we do is call as many candidates as we can until we're going to fill a job for one of our clients because it's our clients that pay us and we don't really care about them. So another thing, when you're double qualifying your candidates and you're really getting, more answers from them, they're realizing that you really do care about them because you're asking them more questions and they realize you really want to do the job for them. And so this is going to help that perception. And I'm not saying their perception is right, but quite frankly, our clients are the ones that pay us, but it's a candidate-driven marketplace. And so we've got to really, focus on these candidates more than ever because they can send you referrals. They can come back and redeployed if they feel you really care about them. But I can tell you in the audiences that I've been in front of in the last 6 months, they don't feel that we care a thing about them. They feel that all we care about is filling jobs for our clients. And whether it's them or somebody else, we're going to just keep reaching out until somebody fills a contract or a job. So we have to think about that. There's 5 basic rules to follow when you're dealing with your candidates or in fact with your clients. You've always got to do the right thing. We can't deal in grays. There's right and there's wrong. We've got to do the right thing. We've always got to do the best job we can. So when you walked in the office today, are you at a level 10? Think about the Olympics or gymnastics, where I had 2 daughters that competed in gymnastics. And so obviously 10 is the perfect score. Are you at a 10 every day? Are you doing the best job you can do for people every day? Because see, it doesn't matter what kind of day you're having. It doesn't matter what kind of month you're having or all the things that went on at home last night. What matters is that when you walk in the office, you basically say, my candidates, my clients are going to get the best version of me today because they both deserve you at a level 10. So you can do the best job you can. You've got to treat others the way they want to be treated. I had a grandmother, a Polish grandmother that taught me for years, treat people the way you want to be treated. And I made that mistake for most of my career. For probably the first 20 years I was in this business, I treated people the way that I wanted to be treated. And then it dawned on me a few years ago, they're not me, and so what I have to figure out is how they want to be treated because they're not me. They don't have my personality. They don't have my life experience, and so treating them the way I want to be treated wasn't necessarily a good thing to do. You've also got to realize it's all about them and not you. When they feel, we pitch jobs too soon, we sell too fast before we get into any kind of conversation about them and what they see as their next career move. When you realize it's all about them, you make different calls and you're going to attract a much higher caliber of candidate. And lastly, it's not our job to agree or disagree. And I can tell you early in my career, I would hang up sometimes and go, oh my God, that was so stupid. Like, how could they say that? And I found myself being very judgmental on what people said to me. And then as I progressed in this career, I realized that's not my job. My job is never to agree or disagree with what candidates say or what clients say. My job is to figure out what opportunity can I put in front of a candidate will they accept without hesitation, and what candidates do I send to my clients where they hire without hesitation. Not my job to agree or disagree with them. If you do those 5 things, you will answer the 3 questions your candidates want answered. They want to know if they can trust you, if you're committed to their search, and if you care about them. Right now, they don't feel that the answer to any of those questions is yes. I can tell you that by interacting with them. And I do calls with job seekers once a week. In fact, I'm doing a call this afternoon at 2 for them. And I have anywhere from 900 to 1,500 job seekers on these calls that I do. And they don't know who I am. I just get on the phone and go, hi, welcome to this week's job seeker call. And they vent all the time about recruiters because they don't know who I am. And so during those calls, I'm trying to educate them how to use us, how to find a good recruiter, how to look for somebody that is in their niche, how we need skills, stability, and experience to be able to help them. So I'm trying to educate them, but this is the 3 things everybody in your life wants answered. Your family, your friends, your candidates, your clients, they want to know that you care, you can be trusted, and you're committed to their search. So, how basically can you create trust where you're attempting to get the information that you need to place them? It's how you present yourself. When you say, I take my direction from you, I want to find out what's most important to you. I'm never going to pitch a job up front. What I'm going to pitch is a conversation. I would love to have a conversation about what you see yourself doing next. Always focus on the what's in it for me of the candidate. It's not what I need. And if you've been following my training, that I give written expectations to candidates. This is what you can expect from me. This is what I need from you to find you your next career move. I never interview for one specific opportunity ever, because if I've got a certain contract in mind or a certain job in mind, if I'm interviewing somebody, I'm going to slant my interview. I might not think I'm slanting my interview, but human nature. I want to book a send out. I want to get this person a job. I want to satisfy my client's opening. And so I'm going to slant my interview. And the truth of the matter is, if you do that, you don't know what's most important to this person. And if you sent them out on a contract and they didn't get the job, you can't send them anyplace else because you interviewed them for that contract. You didn't do a general interview where you found out what was really important to them. And that's what we have to do. We have to find out what's most important to them. You've got to ask probing questions. And I can tell you, the most successful people in our profession are the people that ask the best questions. I do a lot of coaching for high achievers. And it's interesting because what I know about those high achievers is that they are the best listeners in our profession. They're not necessarily the best talkers. They are the best listeners, absolutely the best listeners. You should never talk more than 30% of the time, because what you want to do is you want to develop trust and rapport where you become their lifetime career agent. That's what you want to do. Hold on one second here. We're having some trouble with my slides. Hold on here. Okay, there we go. Want to make sure that these are going to proceed for you. Your questions should uncover the following. First of all, knowledge about their life. You've got to know what's going on in a person's life to really represent them. You've got to know why they'll make a change. And if you're saying candidates won't talk to you, they'll only text and email. The reason they won't talk to you is because they don't see the benefit of talking to you. You sound like every other recruiter. You probably pitched a job up front, and they think you're a waste of their time. If they see that you could be their lifetime career agent, if they realize that you're different, will they share this information with you? The answer is yes. After 6 o'clock at night, they can't talk during the day on the job, but if you're willing to call them in the evening, of course they'll talk to you. You've got to know their experience and skills. You've got to know how you can develop rapport with every candidate. And candidates are different, aren't they? There's no two candidates alike. Some people answer in one word answers. Some people are pretty vocal. Some people you can't get back on track. Other people are treating you like, you're one of these, pesky recruiters that keeps calling them. That's why it's so important that you've implemented the other training we've been doing about your brand, about differentiating. You've got to realize how to best package your candidate. I don't think anybody comes to us packaged to be placed. I don't care if it's a .NET developer, if it's a project manager, if it's a hard to find talent. They can still make mistakes in the interview if you're not packaging them. A lot of times their resumes or CVs really don't show what you've interviewed. They really don't. And so the candidate gets screened out because you didn't package the candidate right when you were presenting them. You've got to know the percentage of time they want to complete what responsibilities. Don't ever assume that what a person is doing now is what they want to do next. When you're double qualifying them, you're really getting into the nitty gritty. What part of your job do you like most? What don't you like? Is there anything you don't want to do? What has to be there for you to make a change? Again, I always ask the 5 things they change about their current job if they were their boss. That tells me what has to be there. That tells me the reason they're going to make a change. And then I want clarification. I believe that we have to demote candidates. You've got to discuss money, opportunity, availability, travel, and skills. When you're double qualifying them, these are the areas that really determine if they're going to accept a contract or not. Money is always part of it. It's the opportunity. Is the opportunity going to make them more marketable? Can they make more money down the road? What about their availability? Are they in a contract right now that could get extended? Or if it's a relocation situation, can they relocate at this particular point in their life, which works our way into travel? And then what skills do they have? And you and I both know they always want to increase their marketability because in the next contract, they want to make more money. And so your questions have to uncover these 8 areas. But as you're asking these questions, you're showing the candidate how this is going to help you do a better job on their behalf. You're their agent. And the more information they give you, the better job you can do for them. But see, they don't understand that. They think you have a job. You're just calling them to see if they fit that job. And that's why they're abrupt. That's why they don't talk much to us, because they don't think we care about any of these things. They just think we're trying to fill a specific job. And that's why when you think about all these things, this makes them realize you truly care about them. To reveal the real reason, again, your candidate will accept an opportunity. All you have to ask are the 5 things they change about their current job if they were their boss. There's things going on currently that they have no control over, and that's why they'll make a change, whether they're in a contract, whether they're in a full-time job. So many people want to make a change, not because of the company, not because of the job, but because of their boss. They don't like who they're working for. And so they want out. A lot of times when contractors don't finish a contract, it has nothing to do with the job and nothing to do with the company. They didn't like their boss. And somebody else recruited them and they left because, quite frankly, they didn't like who they were working for. So this really does reveal what's most important to them. And when you ask this question, it's so interesting. They're like, those are talking and they go, wow. And see, that's something that if a company comes back with more money or something else, those 5 things usually aren't answered because it's internal things that are going on. And you just have to remind them of what they said to you, and then they're not going to go back or they're not going to stay with their current employer. Now, how do you double qualify? The reason, and why should you double qualify? Part of the reason is life happens and priorities change. You and I both know that things happen, and even though we feel very comfortable about our candidates, I always say to you, every time you have a conversation with a candidate or a client, you always need to start that conversation in the same way. Has anything changed since the last time we talked? Because quite frankly, think about your own life, and how do things change? If there is an illness that hits your family, if somebody gets in a car accident, if all of a sudden somebody realizes their marriage is over, if somebody had a proposal, good things as well as bad things change priorities. And so that's why you've got to go back because things happen. Changes and red flags often surface during presentations, preps, and debriefs. You may interview a person and all of a sudden you're prepping them and they're giving you answers and you're like, oh my God, this is not going to work. That's why often when we're prepping candidates, we pull them because we realize we missed something in the interview. They are not going to accept the job. They're probably going to no-show the interview based on our prep. Or on the debrief, when you're debriefing them, you realize when you say on a level of 1 to 10, what's your level of interest? Quantify when you're double qualifying. Always on a scale of 1 to 10. It's amazing the surprises you can get. I once informed my team that a candidate would rather drive a bus. And I'll never forget the day I did that because the recruiter was like, Barbara, what are you talking about? And I got involved in a prep with one of my clients. And I said, do you realize this woman would rather drive a bus? And she was a high-level professional. And my recruiter looked at me like, what are you talking about? But this woman had asked for a late lunch hour. She had asked for a lunch hour between 2:30 and 3:30. And I thought that was odd. So I asked her why. And she had an autistic child that was left on a bus stop alone once and was missing for hours. And so all she wanted to do was leave work, drive the bus, pick up the kids, make sure her son was at home with the caretaker, and then come back to work because she had, good arrangements to take care of him, but she just didn't trust the whole bus situation. And she said, I stay up nights. It's a nightmare. She said, I've been unhappy since this happened. I don't know what to do. And I said, so tell me about yourself. And she said, I don't really need to work. My husband's got a great job. He just got a major promotion. It's just, how do you walk away from what I'm doing? But every day I'm miserable worrying about my son. And in the morning, sometimes they're late and it's just, everything's around these crazy buses. And she said, what I'd love to do is just drive the bus. And I said, why don't you? And she said, what? And I said, why don't you? Have you ever considered doing that? And she said, no. And she goes, but you know what? I would be so happy if I did that. And I could work virtual and still have income coming in. But you know what? I would really rather drive a bus. Well, of course, my recruiter was not pleased with me. But I can tell you that same candidate sent us, I don't know how many people that we placed in jobs because she said nobody had ever given her permission. Her husband had told her to quit her job because of the stress level of, over their son, but she never listened. And it was amazing. Sometimes when you're prepping and debriefing, things come up. A 2:30 to 3:30 lunch hour didn't make any sense to me. Of course, I'm going to ask why. You've got to ask the tough questions when you're prepping and debriefing. You've got to stay informed of other opportunities. They may say, I have nothing else right now, but guess what? If you only send them on one job, which is a mistake many of you make, the minute you book somebody on an interview, you've got to market them to other companies they want to work for. You should get 2 to 3 interviews for all of your candidates because if you don't, they're going to get interviews on their own. Now, quantifying rather than qualifying, I touched on this a little bit. Numbers don't lie on a scale of 1 to 10. Numbers validate. What are their specific skills? What's their specific experience? What's their specific interest level? You've got to be rating people. You've got to know what the interest level is on a scale of 1 to 10, because there's no question if they say on a 1 to 10, I'm a 10. I've had people say, how are you interested? And they'd say yes. And I'd say on a scale of 1 to 10, 4. 4 is not interested in my book. And so I'd say, what would make it a 10? And sometimes they'll say nothing, because it's just too far of a commute. I found a couple things that are paying more money closer to home. There's nothing I can do with that. I can't make my companies be closer to home or pay them more money. Maybe I can negotiate a little bit, but at least you know where you stand. Also, effectively negotiating is part of double qualifying candidates. You've got to negotiate with candidates from your very first conversation. And the reason you want to do this is it improves your profitability. Remember, that margin that you're quoting, your owner is in business to make a profit, okay? Your owner's expenses, I can tell you, I'm an owner, okay? Our expenses have gone up 500% in the last 10 years. Everything is more expensive. Insurance is more expensive. Taxes, workman's comp, benefits, everything has escalated. And so that's why every penny that you negotiate in your gross margin of profit, anything you could have go to the bottom line, it helps your owner stay profitable. And it's good for you, whether you're a recruiter or an account executive, you want your company profitable. That's why your company can belong to TechServe. That's why you get this training, because they are profitable. And so you've got to realize when you're negotiating, and every time you lower the margins, you're lowering your income too. So every time they negotiate with you, they're negotiating with your pay. You also want to achieve desired results. Most people come into negotiations with no plan at all. So if you go in with plan A, plan B, you're eons ahead of whoever you're negotiating with. You also want to maximize financial returns, again, because your owner's in business to make profit. And you've got to know when you walk away. There are times when you and I need to walk away. And again, the number that always amazes me, because I study negotiating all the time, is that 75% of people in negotiations enter negotiations with no plan at all. So if you have any kind of plan at all, you're ahead of the game. Now let's talk, how do you pre-close candidates? An initial interview, I believe, is similar to a first date. You've got to ask the same question every time you talk to them. Has anything changed since the last time we talked? Candidates are more networked than ever, and even though they know you're helping them, there are things they're going to do on their own, especially if you only send them on one job. And think about that first date for a minute. When you go on a first date with somebody, you're not going to give them your faults. You're not going to lie to them, but you're going to be very guarded because you don't trust them. And so when we initially talk to candidates, often they're guarded because you and I only place less than 5% of the people we attract. And think about that. If you attract 100 people, you're placing 5. And so what about those other 95%? They may have been part of that other 95% with another recruiter. So they don't know if you're going to do anything for them or not. So they're guarded. And this is what they're going to do on their own. Okay. And it's just good for you to know. They're going to interview on their own. They're going to discuss their potential job with family and friends, and they'll probably quote their family and friends to you. They're going to reach out to their network, and IT people are the most strongly networked of any niche. They're going to respond to website and job board postings. They're going to continue interviewing even after they've accepted a contract or a direct hire job. They're probably going to receive more than one offer if they put themselves out there, and they could change their priorities. These are all reasons why you've got to double qualify and why you have to keep qualifying as you're working with them, because we're dealing with human beings. Now, when should you pre-close and close your candidates? I think you should pre-close and close from the very first conversation, during every subsequent conversation. And again, our conversations always have to focus on the what's in it for them, not about us, not about what our clients are trying to get, not what we're trying to accomplish. It's all how, if they do what we're asking them to do, how it will benefit them. Candidates understand and should understand basically the benefits of using you. And the process for your discussion with your candidates and clients should always be question, answer, pre-close, question, answer, pre-close. Too often we do question, answer, question, answer. That's all we're doing in interviews and prepping and debrief. You want to clarify that you understand what they're saying back to you. If they use words like growth or advancement or challenge, if you don't ask them, what do you mean by that word? Can you define that word to me? Guess whose definition you're putting on that word? Your definition. And your definition might not be what they're saying to you. So you never want to assume anything when you're talking to somebody. When you obtain an offer, never assume nothing has changed. Always pre-close one last time. Don't ever call and say, I'm so excited I have an offer. Call when you have an offer and say, we're getting very close to a decision. It's down between you and someone else. If I get you an offer of this amount of money and this start date, do I have your authority to accept? And if they say anything but yes, if there's any hesitation, you've got to deal with that before you extend the offer. And then come back 5 or 10 minutes later and congratulations, you got the offer. If you've closed your candidate from the initial conversation, the chances of successfully putting deals together greatly increases, and you're rewarded for your efforts and your thoroughness. The hard part of our job is you and I do a lot for nothing. We do a lot of work where we're not paid. The only time we're paid is when it works, when one of our candidates accepts an opportunity with one of our clients and they stay and everybody's happy, and then your commissions start flowing in. So you're not paid on efforts, and double qualifying is going to be the answer to a lot of the issues you may be experiencing right now, like ghosting, no-shows, offer turndowns. The reason those things are happening more and more and more is because you're going off of that first conversation you had with a candidate, or you had a job in mind when you were talking to the person. They sensed it, their answers were slanted, your questions were slanted, and you never really found out what was most important to them. And that's why a lot of deals are not happening. Or you only sent them on one interview People do not want to go on one interview. They want to go on multiple interviews. So the minute you book somebody, you've got to get them out there, double qualify them and get them out on other opportunities, unless you're working in a VMS that prevents that. But, for every other opportunity, try to get them out on more opportunity. What I would suggest you do is go back through this handout. TSA records this recording. Go back through the handout, and especially when I'm talking about double qualifying, look at the problems you've been having with some of your candidates, because I'm hearing from recruiters all the time that they just can't believe some of the things candidates are doing. And we're really quick to point the finger at the candidate, aren't we? These candidates are crazy, they know they're in demand, but every time you blame a candidate for something, there's three fingers pointing back at you. What could you have done differently? What could you have asked where you weren't blindsided? Were there red flags that you chose to just ignore? You and I can't have selective hearing, not in today's job market. And if people see the value of talking to you, they will talk to you. You cannot conduct your business only by text and email. You're too easy to delete. And this has been and always been a relationship building business. And another thing, if your candidates aren't talking to you, you're never going to get referrals from them. Remember, I say something in almost every training call, and I firmly believe this. Think of all the contractors you have out there working. They're either your army of recruiters. They love you, and they're out there telling everybody about you, and they're trying to get more people to utilize your service because of the job you did for them, or they're being recruited by other contractors that are working for your competitors. And so if you're not getting a ton of referrals from your contractors, then they're not your army of recruiters. And think of the benefit of that. And double qualifying shows people you care. You're asking questions most people don't ask. You're taking more time to really learn what's important to them. And when they see that you're doing this to benefit them, anytime I ask somebody to do something, I always show them how it benefits them first before I ask for anything. It can't be because we need or want it. It's got to be because it's going to benefit them. When you do that, people will react to you better. They will react to you better. Become the best listener in their life. Double close them, and you'll close more deals. All right, that's our call for today. I do want to give a little plug for certification. Obviously, this is a very small percentage of what's in the study guide for the TechServe certification program. If you are not certified and you would love to get certified, you could be certified by August if you signed up today. Certification is just it's a few things. It gives you a competitive edge because you've got those letters behind your name. Think about all the certifications your candidates have. They want to work with someone who's certified too. And when they see you've got the letters behind your name, it shows you've taken the time to earn the highest professional designation. And there's just a tremendous body of knowledge that you study to take the exam. But you could study and actually take the exam and have your certification if you signed up today before the end of August. And wouldn't that be a great commitment to make right now during the summer months, and before the summer's over and before we get into September, that you've made a commitment to be certified? And I will put an offer out here to anybody listening. If any of you are not certified and you get certified by the end of August, I will give you a personal LinkedIn recommendation. And I have a very, very strong following on LinkedIn. And I would be glad to personally give you a recommendation, and I will personalize it if you sign up for certification and take the program by August. There is CPSR for recruiters, CPSAE for account executives. And by the way, owners and managers, it would be great for you to take this. It's a great body of knowledge. It will remind you of a lot of things you know, but it'll give you a lot of ideas that'll just help you improve and make more money, become more successful. That's why this program was developed. Like 2/3 are practical application. Only 1/3 is law. That's different than any other certification program out there. So please, call TechServe. You can find out more information at, any of these emails I'm posting. But now what I want to do, I think the most important part of the call is answer any questions you have. And your questions don't have to be about double qualifying candidates. It can be about anything. Look at the control panel on the right, and you can see that there's a list of attendees. And to the left of that list, there's a round circle with a hand where you can click on that, and I can unmute your lines if, in fact, you put in the telephone number, PIN number, and access code. If not, you can go down below. See the word questions down below in the gray bar? If you click on that, it opens a dialog box, and I'll be glad to answer any questions. Now, if you don't want me to use your first name, I always use a first name. If you don't want me to use your first name, just put confidential or anonymous, and I won't use your first name. So let me go up to the attendee list and see if anybody raised their hand. And again,
Barb, it looks like someone someone did raise their hand, so I am going to unmute them, but you can finish what you were going to say.
Okay, absolutely. And I'm saying, this is getting one-on-one consulting with me. So anybody that has any questions, please raise your hand. It's a way to get additional free training. All right, why don't you unmute whoever raised their hand?
Karen, can you hear us?
Are you there?
You had raised your hand.
Karen, are you there? We've got you. Let's see, Karen with the last name starting with S. Are you there? Okay, now Karen, if you called in through your computer, you're not on a phone line. We can't unmute you. So if you would just go down below, Karen, and type in your question, because obviously you're not able to talk to us. So let me go down on the questions. Let's see. Are you going to be training at this year's conference? Yes, I will. I'm doing a whole afternoon of training for people that are supervising recruiters. So I'm doing an afternoon workshop for anybody that is supervising recruiters, and I am doing training throughout the conference. And so, if you're at the conference, please pull me aside. I'm more than willing to answer questions or interact with any of you at the conference. I'm there, I attend the whole time. And even though I'm doing 2 or 3 sessions, I'm also there to talk to you and answer questions throughout the entire conference. So please, if you attend the TSA conference this year, please pull me aside if you have any questions or anything you want to discuss, and I'd be glad to answer them. I don't see any questions, any additional questions below, Caitlin, or any hands raised. Do you see any?
No, I unfortunately do not. So while we're waiting for a couple more questions to come in, seriously, everyone, Barb is a fantastic resource, so I really encourage you to ask questions on the question box on the right side of your screen. But while we're waiting for a couple of things to come in, our next certification webinar will be on August 29th, same time, 12:30 Eastern, and I believe that will be titled, You Just Wrote the Contract to Order, Now What? So that'll be an excellent session from Barb again. Later this month, we have another webinar on SEO as well. So if that is a topic that you're interested in, I would really encourage you to check that out on our website. Yeah, unfortunately, it does not look like we have received any questions.
What I would say to all of you, as you're working your desk between now and our next call, if anything comes up, objections you can't overcome, issues you're having over and over, this is your time to ask questions where you get customized training from me. And so it really is silly to come to these calls and not bring up questions that are most important to you. So, during the next call, why don't you, as you're working your desk, write things down? I've had so many people say, I had no question, and then I hung up and I was like, darn, why didn't I ask that? So make sure that, for the next call, as you're working your desk, your questions don't have to be about our topic. It can be about anything most important to you. So I hope to see you all at the TechServe conference. I would love for some of you to sign up for the certification program. If you've taken level 1, there is level 2 that are case studies that really test your knowledge. So I would, definitely encourage you to also sign up for level 2. And I guess I'm going to turn the floor over to you, Caitlin, to finish things up.
We did just receive one question. Thank you. So if you want to answer that one.
Okay, let me get it.
Well, take your time.
Okay, as a trainer for my staffing agency, I struggle with stressing the importance of not working the job and screening the candidates for what they want to do when they have not previous staffing experience. What advice do you have to, let me get to the bottom here. What advice do you have to counter this? Okay, what I would say is, if they're not screening candidates on what they want to do, and it's because they have no previous staffing experience, then give them a list of questions to ask. All of you should have some type of form you're using where they have to ask every candidate the same questions. They can look at a resume or CV, but you should have at least a 1-page that they're filling out as they're interviewing people. Like for instance, I always ask people, give me the 5 main accomplishments and what were the impact. What must be there for you to accept a job today? If I have someone with your experience, why should someone hire you over someone else? Give me 5 words that describe you. How would your coworkers describe you? You just want to ask the same questions. So what I would do, since these people have no experience, is you need to standardize everything. There should be a form that they fill out when they're interviewing. There should be a form that they fill out when they're debriefing candidates. They shouldn't write it, on a post-it note or a legal pad or stick it in the CRM where they're not asking every candidate the same debrief questions. And your prep should be based on the information taken from all your debrief forms. When they're marketing a candidate, there should be a sheet to market the candidate. So it's putting structure and putting systems and formats around everything, And so, if these people are not experienced and they're not asking questions, give them a list of questions they have to fill out. Then even if they're entering it in the CRM, the questions are there and they're asking every candidate the same question. If I interview 5 people and I don't have a questionnaire I'm asking people, then I'm going to kind of ask them questions based on my mood or how I'm feeling or how much time I personally have, rather than trying to get the information I really need. So I would say, as a trainer, the best thing you could do is develop structure, develop forms they have to use. There should be a debrief form for both clients and candidates. There should be a form if they're going to market candidates, a marketing candidate form where they have to write information down. Or if they're giving a candidate 20 or salespeople, they should be giving relevant information so that your salespeople don't look like they're uninformed when the client's asking them questions. So the best thing you could do as a trainer, put structure around everything. Have forms that they must fill out, have a questionnaire they must ask. Because if you don't do that, then there's too much emotion involved, and they're doing it based on their gut, and sometimes our gut is wrong. You want to do everything based on facts, and forms and structure and systems make you rely on facts, not on what emotion you're feeling that day. That's a very long answer to a short question. Sorry, I was so wordy, but that's an important question. Let's see, here's another one. How long should a recruiting conversation take? Most of the people that you're going to talk to in the evening, and you need a minimum of 20 minutes. If you've got their resume or CV, you need at least 20 minutes on that initial interview to get the basic information you need from a candidate, because again, they're guarded in that first conversation. So no more than 20 or 30 minutes, you've got a pretty good feeling for what's important to them. Then you're going to keep clarifying as you're re-interviewing them throughout the process. You can't base everything you do on that first date when they're guarded and you're a stranger they don't trust. And so, that's why that initial interview, you're not going to spend an hour with them because they're guarded, 20 to 30 minutes max. And again, you should be filling out a form. A resume tells you who they were and who they are. It doesn't tell you who they want to be, and that's why there have to be processes around what we do. Let me see if anybody raised their hand. Good questions, by the way. Thanks, Olivia, and thanks, Kristen. Let's see here. I see no hands being raised. Let me go back to the questions. I see no other questions. So again, I do challenge all of you, a couple challenges. Number one, I want you to take this handout and figure out the one thing you're going to start doing to double qualify your candidates. What is the one thing that I mentioned that you're not doing that can help you? I want you to implement that first and do it for the next 21 days so it becomes a habit. Secondly, I would love those of you that are not certified to sign up for certification. And third, if you're certified, sign up for level 2. Because there's not that many people that are certified at the higher level, and wouldn't it be great if you were one of those people? And the case studies really test your knowledge and will really help you do a better job working your desk. All right, Caitlin, the floor is yours. There are no more questions.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Barb. If you find that you have any questions after the webinar, we would be happy to field them, pass them on to Barb. You can do that at the email listed on the screen. Beyond that, I hope that you attend one of our next upcoming webinars, including the certification one in August. A registration link for that will be included in the follow-up email. And you will be receiving follow-up emails, as I said at the beginning, so you can review the slides as Barb said. So with that, I hope that everyone has a wonderful, very hot afternoon, at least if you're up here where we are. Oh my gosh, DC, such a swamp. So have a wonderful afternoon, everyone. Take care.
Thanks. Have a great day.